Okay, hello everyone, welcome. I'm Stephen Bartkus, the Executive Director here at the Ridgefield Historical Society. Today is Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. Welcome to the Scott House and the Ridgefield History Club. The Ridgefield Historical Society is dedicated to collecting, preserving, and sharing the history of Ridgefield, Connecticut. And we're so happy to have you all here today, and I encourage you to become members and volunteers of our organization and help us do the great work that we're doing to preserve the town's history. Thank you to all of you who attended the town vote last month. We're really happy to say that we now have a new historic district here in town, the East Ridge Historic District, so thank you all so much for your support of that. Before we get started today, I'd like to mention a couple of our upcoming programs. This Saturday, February 21st at 2 o'clock, we are going to have a program about the Underground Railroad and Black history here in Ridgefield at the Meeting House in Ridgebury. This is a collaboration between the Historical Society and the Meeting House. Town historian Jack Sanders, who's with us today, and Ridgefield Poet Laureate Ira Jo Fisher will have a conversation centered around Jack's book, Uncle Ned's Mountain, 3 Centuries of African Americans Free and Enslaved in a Small New England Town. There are a few tickets remaining for this. Please go to RidgefieldHistoricalSociety.org to get your tickets today. And our program, Faces from the Past, was postponed due to snow and illness, and it's been rescheduled for Sunday, March 15th at 2 o'clock at Lounsbury House. Melanie Marks is going to give a great presentation about 6 incredible 19th century portraits of Ridgebury residents that were recently discovered, and she's done a lot of research into them, and they will actually be on display at Lounsbury House as well. So it's an exhibit, it's a presentation, and we'll have a nice reception afterwards. So we encourage you to come to that event as well in collaboration with Lounsbury House and learn about this remarkable discovery of these 6 portraits from Ridgebury. So for today, we're talking about Ridgebury. It's the month, it's the Ridgebury month. Ridgebury is an incredible village in Ridgefield's history, and we have a very special guest today. Rory Shapiro is going to lead our discussion. So Rory is a longtime volunteer here at the Historical Society, and she lives in Ridgebury, and she's an avid historian, and she's been doing a lot of research on this section of town where she lives. And we're going to talk about things that used to exist in Ridgebury and that are no longer there, as well as Ridgebury's past that has been preserved. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Rory for the discussion today. And again, to remind you that we encourage discussion. So at any point, if you have any questions or comments or memories or stories about Ridgebury that you'd like to share, please jump in. And if you brought anything related to Ridgebury, any photographs or artifacts, we definitely want to see those as well. So Rory, welcome, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you. So I've lived in Ridgefield my whole life. I currently live in Ridgebury. This is my lovely neighbor. I used to live on Old West Mountain, but we moved, so I've been in Ridgebury for 30 years about. And I have to just give a shout out to my 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Semprola, who was at Scotland School, because she's the reason I really was, got into Ridgebury or Ridgefield history to begin with. They used to do a thing called the Walk of Ridgefield, and they would drive all the kids into town and walk in Ridgefield and look at all the historical sites. They don't do that anymore, and I've also worked in the public schools, and I can tell you that is not on the curriculum anymore, which is unfortunate, because this whole area and its surrounding, farming, the other districts are really historic as well, and I think they're missing out on a great learning opportunity to get interested in their town. With that being said, so I probably have more information than you want to hear, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. So the first thing I have here, these are the original patent lots for Ridgebury. It's hard to read some of them, but I don't know, at the top here you can see this is fir, Yep, Benedict, I think that says there. So these are the original lots. Now,
Roy, what year would that be? About?
it says based on 1770 to 1741. Was the proposed historic district in Ridgebury. I believe Dan McKeon is the one who did the research on this. This might be the map that's closest to being where things actually are. There are several maps of Ridgebury, and a lot of them contradict one another, as well as a lot of, Bendini says one thing, and then Teller says another thing. So it's hard to kind of put together where things actually were, which is really what I need help with. So if you see something on here and you're like, that's not right, please tell me. I believe this is 1856, or this is the 1867 one. But where I am, let's see. I think this is kind of the area I live in right now. And that is where George Washington supposedly slept next to the house that's next door to me. I do have a picture of that. Not George Washington sleeping at the house.
That would be something.
That's great.
Is that north of George Washington Highway?
Correct. So
Okay.
this would be going towards Mill Plain,
Right.
up this way,
Right.
and this would be coming closer towards
Sure.
town.
Yep.
So Ridgebury did try to become its own town several times, and the reason they said no is Ridgefield didn't want to lose any select persons. But we did have a post office, we had a pound, we had a school district, which basically, I guess at the time, is what you needed to become a town. This is the Erskine map that was drawn, I think, for George Washington. And you can see on here, this marks the Doolittle Tavern. John Keeler. I believe this is church. So this is the little triangle area, which, if you're going down Ridgebury and Ned's Mountain, there's like a little patch of land, which is where the original church was, and burying yard. Some of the burying yard is still there. According to some stories, they moved the headstones and did not disinter many of the bodies. And actually, Ridgebury Farm and Stables has some of the tombstones as foundation for their basement there.
Wow.
So there you have that. So I'm going to kind of go up Ridgebury Road. Some of the houses you'll probably recognize. So this is 215 Ridgebury Road. This would have been part of Isaac Keeler's property, and I'm not sure if this is the same Isaac Keeler whose mill was burned by the British, but I'm guessing probably. That was not on this property though. So this is built in 1820, and then if you've probably seen these barns. It's now red. This barn, they redid the siding. There were two apparently on the property. There is now just one. And this would have been where John Keeler's homestead would have been, across the street.
That's just above Pope's Corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, okay,
Yep.
when you said
It's
it
the red
was
on the band.
now red, it's a different kind
Yeah.
of red. It's not.
It's on the right-hand side, right?
Which,
Yeah,
okay.
so I guess if it's not on the historic registry, you can kind of do what you want with the building. So now it's red. So it's this would be John Keeler. This is where this barn is currently. That would have been his property. So looking through the maps, I was trying to figure out exactly where things were, because some of them have not, I mean, this is from the 50s, but this would have, they're marking who lives there now. So trying to figure out the current map and comparing it to an older map, I had to go through finding, you know, the names of the people who were there, and then trying to correlate that to an older map. That's where I'm kind of getting stuck. So, this house, and again, correct me if this is not true, but this house supposedly was on that property and then moved. I think it says to North Salem. I don't know, but again, it's hard to figure out which house was where and if that is the house they're talking about. But according to Silvio Bendini, I think he mentions in here somewhere that he's the one that had the house moved. And
It looks like a store, Lori.
it became a
It's
store?
Baxter's store. D. Crosby Baxter's store.
Is that still in existence?
What's that?
Is
On
that
North
still
Salem
around?
Road.
Is that still there?
I think so. It's down near Decorah Trail,
Oh,
or the intersection with, the lower Decorah Trail intersection with,
Oh, right on the
North Salem
The
Road.
red house?
No,
The one
it's
that's kind of losing paint?
I don't know
Oh, it's the
what
red house on the
condition-
right hand side, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think it's right here.
Every time I go by, I think of the recent
Maybe
I'll
it's
have to
one.
And now it's
It's like an apartment building now, right? There's like 3 apartments.
I think that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that on the left-hand side?
If you're coming south on North Salem, it's on your right-hand side before you get to that triangle.
Okay,
And now it has like 3 apartments in it.
okay.
It's big, it's huge.
It's been
Yeah.
added
Yeah.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
so if I'm looking for this, I'm not seeing that. Is what you're saying?
You'll see the
It won't look
shape.
like the shape. Okay.
Yeah.
You'll see the shape.
So I did find a map where I think it's McLaurie. I did find that name on one of the maps, so that kind of seems to me like that would be this property that was moved. And here's Isaac Keeler and Clark Keeler, and then the gates, which I think it mentioned up here. Opposite the road is the old Gates home. But if you look at the map, it's not really opposite. So, because right here are the Keelers, and then Gates is all the way over here. But there you go. And this is now the bane of my existence, and possibly yours. The schoolhouse, which was moved, is now going to become this, because we don't have enough giant homes on Ridgebury. And it makes me frustrated that, you know, they could just build, I'm assuming they'll raise the building and then build this. And I don't know if there's any way to save the schoolhouse.
I've suggested to the Conservation Commission that they approach the town to move that across the street to the
Yeah.
conservation land.
Oh, that'd be
I,
great.
and I'm on the Conservation Commission, and we talked about it, and we can't move we can't put anything on McKeon's farmland, because in the deed for what we got, you know, all we can do is put agricultural types of things on that land. We
Will it
can't,
fit in between our property?
we can't put a building on it.
Let's them
And
Even an agricultural museum.
Did they teach agriculture at the school?
Yeah, there's sure.
I think they did.
They were all farmers' kids.
yeah.
I mean, there was an old
So-
schoolhouse.
I actually have a book that's from that schoolhouse.
Yeah.
I just.
If you wanted to, there's a way to do that, by the way.
Move it.
You would just have to get in touch with the Attorney General's office and see if they will allow you to waive that restriction for the purposes of historic preservation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I would argue that since the children who were educated in this building were likely the children of the farmers and the agriculturists there, that it absolutely is pertinent to an agricultural use there.
I do have a list of names, and a lot of the families are the founding families of Ridgebury. So,
And if you wanted to go the extra mile, you would find the heirs of McKeon and have them give you a letter of consent that you
Right.
would then bring to the Attorney General's office.
I think the developer of the property would be happy to move that place rather than tear it down. I think it would be good PR for him. He's maintained it he's owned it for a long time. And that property has one of the best views in Ridgefield. And, it's surprising it's still there.
I mean, I would obviously not like to see a giant home there, but,
After the meeting, if we
Yeah,
can talk.
everybody's on?
You come up at Bennett's Farm Road and right at the end you look across. and
so
there's
this is
little white
where the
houses.
schoolhouse was. You can see this rock is still there. And it can't go back over there is what you're saying? It can't be moved back to its original place?
Where is the original place?
See this rock?
Yeah.
See this rock? It's the same rock.
Oh, but that house that's
That's
there
McKean.
was moved
Yeah.
from,
It's facing a different direction.
That's the
From those.
McKeon house
Right.
right, that was moved,
that was moved from Old State
it was
Station.
moved north.
Ah,
Yeah.
that I did not know.
Yeah.
That was the
So
original
weighted
Dan
gate
McKeon
on
house,
the chain.
Hunt house,
Was that the is that the same
Yeah.
building?
Co,
Yeah. Is the Co's?
Several co,
yeah,
Okay.
one-armed,
the one-armed
Veteran.
selectman. But the schoolhouse was a little farther down,
Well,
a little farther north,
this is
On
the
the
rock.
left-hand side.
yeah.
That rock. This is the
I'm
same
not-
rock.
Yeah, because my father, told me that they moved the schoolhouse from
There across
there
the street.
across the street. You know, they use the,
That
logs and-
every thing that I can find, they all say the same thing. So
Yeah.
that I'm almost 99.9% sure that is where the schoolhouse was.
The original South Ridgebury Schoolhouse was in the point of the triangle of
Now,
Ridgebury. and-
That little triangle I think is very interesting.
Not the church triangle,
Oh,
but the point where
McKeon. I mean, where the
old
Old Stagecoach. in
stagecoach
Ridgebury.
meets Ridgebury.
and that
Pasture.
wasn't
Yeah,
called
that's what
Old
it is.
Stagecoach.
Yeah.
Or I've seen maps where it's called Bennett's Farm in some of them, that road, and then some it says
Yeah, it turns
Stagecoach.
into,
So that's what makes it hard to pin down where things were. Was it near like where Pork Hollow is, like around? Was it as far down as that farm?
The schoolhouse was just right at the intersection, right at the point where
I'm sorry.
Old Stagecoach and Ridgebury meet, the south point there. That's where the original was, then they moved it to this spot, I don't know why. It's two schoolhouses in Ridgebury.
The other one's not there anymore.
No,
Okay. I have a question about that too. So on this map, you can see there's the schoolhouse where is that what you're talking about? It's presently there, was not there originally?
Where is it?
Okay, let's get to that.
He's saying it was
Right.
here.
yeah,
Oh, where this,
Yeah.
right
Or
up at
6A.
the tip there.
oh, it's a 6. Well, that changes it.
I don't know why they moved it across the road.
We'll never know.
So is that the White House that's been there? It's small compared to all the other
Oh,
ones?
yeah.
And I think, I always thought there was like an older
They
person
did-
living there.
In 1953, they added onto it, so I mean, you could tell it was a schoolhouse, but then there's a newer addition to it.
Yeah, and I think it's now up here.
Yeah,
It's
A little
far from
farther
the
down.
road, yeah.
Oh,
No,
no,
down.
like
Oh,
right
down
here.
south.
Here.
right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's almost directly across from where
Yeah.
Old Stagecoach comes in.
Yeah.
But it's pretty far from the road. It's not,
Yes.
it's high up on
It's
the
up on the
hill.
hill where the
Yeah.
farm
When I
branches
first moved
live.
here, there were none of those big houses were there. And,
Years ago, there were none of those big houses.
And people would ride their horses on Ridgebury and could walk on Ridgebury and drive on it without fear of flat tires. So I missed that a lot.
I used to play baseball in the middle of Ridgebury Road when I was a kid.
And yelled cars.
Yeah. And yell car and then we'd
Well,
run
it wasn't
away.
very
It's like, oh my
often
god,
you
it's a
have to yell
car! What is that?
And the airport wasn't as big as it is now. And that's another thing that drives me crazy and my neighbor, how low those planes come in. Every time.
We'll change that.
And the helicopters.
What are the defining boundaries of Ridgebury?
So, Ridgebury, above where, when you get to Mill Plain, that's Danbury, but it was part of Ridgebury, and then it got ceded back to Danbury. So that, I guess, would have been the northernmost.
The Ridgebury originally went all the way to New Fairfield,
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
the south border of New Fairfield, along the New York state line. And in 1846, Ridgefield gave Danbury the part north of Turner Road there, where
Yeah.
Sawmill and Turner Road are. Because it was much more practical. It was ridiculous for people if you wanted to go to town meeting and you lived up near New Fairfield, that's a heck of a trip by horse to get to the town hall in Ridgefield.
And that was a lot of the reason why Ridgebury wanted to be its own village, because it was hard for them to get into town.
Even
Had
that.
a meeting house.
It still is. That's true. If you leave your house at 3:30, you're not getting into town until 5:30. So this is a book I actually randomly got at like a used book fair, not even in Ridgefield, and it belonged to the Ridgebury School. It's 1926, so I'm thinking it's this schoolhouse. I'm looking at you, Jack. I
Yeah,
defer to you.
26 or 27.
Okay.
Come to the car.
And there's some
That was the teacher's car.
Was it really?
Yeah, she was very proud of that. I think it's a Chevy.
I think I remember that too.
She was a young, recent graduate of Danbury Normal School. And I can't remember what her name is.
I feel like I had that somewhere too. And this is still, now this is the schoolhouse across the street. And the codes. And the pound. And it's hard to tell, but in this one it looks like the school is in that little triangle at the top. I think. That's what it looks like. So that would predate, so this one would predate this map.
Is the Rigatine sign, farm sign still there?
Yes,
that-
it
Yes.
is.
Is that on your property?
Yes.
Ah.
Oh.
Well, not my personal property. It's town property, but
You're a town official.
right. No, that's right on the corner where Lawson Lane and Ridgebury Road is.
Ah,
It's lovely. And
Scottish, right?
so this is McKean
Scottish?
Co. Whitney House,
Right.
which now I know wasn't there. That's new information for me.
What do you mean
This
it
one
wasn't
has
there?
a school further up the road.
It moved.
Again?
no.
Oh, okay.
This is Henny Penny, right?
No.
You're saying?
No, this
No.
is the McKean House.
Oh, okay.
Still.
That's the old McKean house,
Yes.
before it moved.
That
The
was
original location.
Yeah.
not that I do this, but sometimes when I'm driving, I stop and I take pictures of the home. So I'm not sure when I took that picture, but that would be, as you were saying, facing this, like, would that be
You're facing
Facing
east
west.
towards it.
thank you.
Yeah,
It is facing west.
yeah.
Now? Or
That-
there,
that-
and now they.
The front of that house is facing west.
The sun sets on it.
The house they built instead looks very similar to that, and
So why did they
Keeps-
do that?
because they wanted it to be new, they wanted to be inside, but they did not want to destroy the old, so they moved it, which was a lot nicer than a number of people
I'm
in
getting
town.
I'm getting to that one
And
too.
isn't that one haunted, supposedly?
I need to talk to you after.
Well, I ran the Holiday House tour when it was just the town doing it for 5 times, so every other year. But we did it on that property one year.
Jack, I don't know if you remember, this is like 20 years ago. I came to see you when you were at the Ridgefield
So I learned
Press,
things
because
from
I was
the
trying
people
to get
there,
like
because
a
we toured often
paranormal
and
thing, like trying to
we
figure
try
out.
to share details of
You told
creation.
me
Did
your
you
door.
feel-
You
did
told
you
me your
feel
door
spirits?
opens and closes.
Is
I-
that the house that Bobby Tucci
I
done?
was, yeah, I felt a little,
remember
funny. I
thought
didn't
she
see
done the barn,
anything,
but
but
I
I was
did.
intrigued. Cause we did go into all of the homes.
No, it's, so would this picture be where it is
yes,
currently,
the
or
good
would
old
this have
days.
been
These are,
when it was on stage?
these are both the old,
Yeah,
the old locations.
Great, I really should get an answer to that though, Bob.
Yeah, I wish that was a house,
Before the
but I could be
McKeons
wrong.
added it.
Is that where Washington?
Would this still have been?
I remember anyone actually being
This would have been the
threatened with their
code.
life, I thought it was more on the sign.
That's
And
when
he never
Cole,
actually
Samuel,
went to
I
jail
think
for it.
Samuel Cole was in that
He's been
picture
away
at
for
the
a
top.
while.
I know there's a picture of him standing in his doorway, like in uniform. I
Well,
don't
if it
know
hasn't
where.
changed, if you're rich, you still don't, you still water.
There are there's some.
Two.
I had another one, but I accidentally deleted it, and I don't know where it went. I tried to put it back, and it wasn't letting me. So there is another picture. I believe it's the same time because it looks like the same people in the picture. Oh. Now, here it's this is McKeon. This house on the corner, is this that orangish looking home? Do you know anything about it? I couldn't
I
find
think it's a barn, but I'm not
What's,
sure.
what
I-
street is that?
Ridgebury.
But-
Oh, it's right next to Ned's Mountain. It's that house that's sort of on the corner.
So it's on the
I'm
left.
not Ned's Mountain, sorry, Chestnut.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks
it's
like,
different.
it
What's
might be
the name on there?
multifamily.
Yeah, it looks like a, yeah.
Two
Oh,
family.
he owned
Somebody
it.
knows,
Yeah, he's
friend lived in it.
here, here, and
Yeah,
here,
same people for a long time.
and here.
Cars
I-
don't change.
Is this maybe the schoolhouse property?
Well, the schoolhouse
Yeah,
is right about here.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I think that's
Before
the
it, if you're
schoolhouse,
going
that
north.
lower one there.
Oh, I thought you said that it was closer to north of Old Stagecoach.
See,
This
now
sa-
you're
this
seeing
says-
how.
This says Bennett's, but it's,
But it's old
that's
actually
old
that's the
Stagecoach.
other thing. It was Bennett's
Yeah.
for quite some time, and then it changed to. So it's
Well,
really.
Ridgebury Road was George
Oh
Washington
yeah.
Highway too.
Now, if I was living there when they decided to do that, for was it 100-year celebration of Washington?
Yeah, I think so.
And it went all the way to North Street, or North Salem.
North Salem Road to, up into Ridgebury Ridgebury Road was George
Yeah.
Washington
Now, if
Highway.
I was a postal worker, I would not have been happy about that whole idea, which
Depends
didn't
how
last
many numbers
very
we
long.
need though. We'd be in the thousands.
And here's the pound.
remember when wine
What's
gas
the town?
kids renumbered everything in town.
So it is.
You mean
listed-
by a pound,
There
you
used to
mean
be
like
$8
a dog
bill.
Oh no,
pound?
for
I ended up
animals. So
26.
if your cattle, your sheep, your whatnot was roaming free,
Great neighborhood.
Really?
they would
Gee,
take
the
it, and you would have to.
Everett's,
It says 25 cents, but I'm
Jesus.
pretty sure
They
they
got
were
all of her
using
veto records.
British currency at the time. I'm not
Every
sure what that
single
would
one.
be equivalent to.
I'm
But
still
if you
friends
wanted
with
your
Steve in
animal back,
Pittsburgh.
you had to pay, and that money was used to fund the schoolhouse
I
and
just
I
know
believe
Steve,
the
yeah.
original
Or a big
church
little kid
that
like
was in that
Puka or
area.
something like that.
Great drummer.
And that's also how Pound Street, that goes from Main Street or Danbury Road to New Street, got its name because there was a pound there, an animal pound.
And again,
Yes.
a pound is one of the things you
Well, I
needed to
got that
become
from
your
Jack.
own town. So we were, and at this point, Hunt lived in the house, in the McKean Co. house. And the school is still in this little triangle. Whereas here it's not. Oh no, I'm sorry, it is, in both of those.
Schoolhouse.
It's in that little point.
Yep.
This is the house I'm talking about.
Yeah, there it
It's
is.
too
Do we
family.
know anything about
That's
it?
the one that's on the corner.
One of the kids at school, and again, I don't usually believe anything they tell me, but one of them told me it's significant because of the amount of windows it has. Has anyone heard that? Or were they just like messing with me?
A lot of windows.
Messing with me? Probably. Well, I have read in one book that it was owned by McKeon and the farm workers lived in this house?
Yes.
That is that true?
Plausible.
Okay.
Well, wasn't it traditional that there was a time in history where they would board up windows or brick up windows so you didn't have to pay taxes?
So I know Town Hall has a lot of windows and things that have been bricked
Yeah.
over. I'm not sure.
I know in New York, there's certain buildings where they bricked up windows, so that the owner did not have to pay taxes for the window, yeah,
You're taxed on your windows?
yeah,
They got plenty of money, because they got lots of windows.
yeah.
Well, they didn't have bathrooms, so.
There it is again. This one's from 2009. This one's 2014, and this would be the current image, thanks to Google Street View. The only thing I could find that was built in 1900. I included this because of its position on Dead's Mountain. Again, a lot of things I looked at, some had different dates, but I'll use the 1750 one, if no one has any objection, which they also added on to a couple of years ago. But across from it is this little road, which I believe formed the back end of that little triangle.
I think the town still owns that. I think that's still, I don't
still
think the
town.
town ever gave
It
it
does
up.
say private road on it, but
If you look at the GIS map of Ridgefield, it's shown as town property, but, that doesn't mean it's
oh. What-
actually true, but.
I made friends with the guy who lives next door to it, and he was telling me he plants all sorts of things in that field and they die, which is where I think the cemetery was.
So that's the pass-through between Ned's Mountain Road and
If you're-
what was
if you're-
Zeger's Farm?
If you're going down Ned's Mountain Road, it's like a little tiny trail on your left-hand side.
If you're going up.
It's not labeled, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have
Yeah,
a name.
yeah, and it connects to the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I've also made friends with Whitney at Ridgebury Farms, and she took me on a little trek through this area, and she agrees that according to the deeds that she has, that this might have been the old church road. We'll find out. There's another picture of it. I'm pretty sure this predates this picture.
I think that's still a town road.
So here it is on the map. This is Old Church Road.
No,
Now,
they don't.
Ian Weed was buried in that original burial ground
Who
that
was?
is Ian Weed, but there used to be the tombstone here outside. Apparently Bendini found it and took it and then donated it to the Ridgefield Historical Society. It was in 3 pieces. They found it on a wall, on one of the stone walls. So the Weeds did live in that area as well. So she died on that property, but she was buried at, I think it says Church of England, Ridgebury, where the Liberty Pole was, which would have been by the Lions Tavern. Correct me. Jump in if I'm not right, please tell me.
Jump in.
That was
That triangle.
1775, if you're wondering when she passed.
Okay, and then here's a chalk thing about her. No, I was told recently that, or and I don't know if it was recent, but that this tombstone was returned to the current Ridgebury Cemetery where her family's buried. But she's not actually there. She's still in the other cemetery, and these
After
notes.
decades, no one's really
If I
there.
can make this bigger. So this is Bendini, and he's talking about that graveyard, and this is 1958. So the fill, well, what they used for fill were some of the tombstones from that cemetery. Now, Ridgebury Farms has some of those tombstones, and they are the foundation of their basement. But there's also one on the wall that's behind their electrical supply box. So I don't doubt this Bendini story because I've seen it. So I don't. She's afraid to go in the basement. So and also in that area. Now I've also seen the Liberty Pole listed as being way further down Ridgebury Road, but I'm thinking it was on the Lions property because later it talks about his son digging up parts of that pole, which is now in the Scott Fenton House in Danbury. case you wanna go look at pieces of iron. And the new Patton Meeting House, which I think was across the street. If you look at the window all the way back here. So here it has original meeting house listed here, before the pound. I know you wanna say something.
Well, I'm unaware of a meeting house other than the Episcopal meeting house, which was in the triangle.
Well, now I'm confused, because so is the Church of England the same one they're talking about?
Who's they?
In some of the books it lists this little,
There were two churches
Would have been Church of
in
England.
this one area,
in Ridgebury. There were two churches, the Congregational and the
Right.
Episcopal.
but it also talks about a Church of England.
Same thing.
That's
It's the same thing.
Episcopal
I-
church.
I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
So the Church of England was originally Anglican.
That,
And
okay.
then when they separated from England, a lot of the Anglican churches became Episcopal because they wouldn't ordain Anglican priest here. So the Scottish would need them. That's how the Episcopal came about.
Okay, good. More things to know.
So are we, before you leave that, the Dilly House, is that where Dilly Ridge is now?
You know, the blue, and you can't miss it, Aqua Farmhouse
Yeah.
on the corner.
Yeah.
It was gray at one point, and now it's Aqua, which is next to my neighbor. So, there's several barns on that property. They're really dilapidated. 3. Just 2. You can see right through it.
And what,
Okay. So, what was I gonna
How
say?
far
I don't
out
know.
is it? I'm just
So
confused.
there are no records that exist of when they actually started meeting in this area. They didn't keep the records apparently. But I think the first mention that I found of it, and now that I know that they're talking about the same place, was I wanna say 1750.
So can we just, I don't know where we are.
Oh,
The-
I'm sorry.
The bottom, no, that's okay. The bottom
So
edge
this-
of that,
this
where
little
is that
area?
now?
This is where McKeon's that
Okay, that's the point of the triangle, got it.
Yeah,
Then
this is
up,
Old
next road up
Stagecoach
is,
here
on the left is
Ridgebury.
Chestnut Hill, and the right is,
yes.
Ned's
Well,
Mountain Road,
this
and
would
then
be,
heading
yeah,
north.
Chestnut
Okay.
Hill
Yep.
and Ned's Mountain.
Which used to end.
So now this has the flagpole being here,
Okay, that's great.
but I've read that it was here.
You can't see the pointer,
You
so
can't
you
see
don't
the
know what you're
pointer.
pointing at.
It's from a 1982 newspaper print, so it was
No.
hard to.
You're just
Well, you
pointing,
just
whatever you're
point with your
pointing at,
finger.
we can't
When you're
see.
saying things are here, we can't tell where here is.
So here's the
There you
Lions
go.
Tavern, and they have the flagpole site here. But where I've read is that the Liberty Pole was closer to this area because Benjamin Lyons actually dug it up. So I don't think he went all the way down here to dig up
I
a
think it was
Liberty
in the
pole.
triangle there that's right by his,
Yeah, that's what I think
Yeah.
too. So this,
where the cemetery was.
yes, I don't agree with that. And I'm gonna get to this too.
Wow.
No, I don't wanna go to the golf course.
So there was a tavern up there, what?
Isn't it still
There were several taverns in Ridgebury. I believe there were 14 or
Wow.
something.
Wow.
Whoa.
We drank a lot.
made it to town?
He just said it's not to drink. I think a lot of that was because of the stagecoach route. Unbelievable. They didn't drink and drive their horses. Okay, seriously. So, where were we?
So was John Cass's farm owns a tavern?
It sounds like
That's
it's a good bet.
that's where I'm going next.
Yeah.
This is, if you're on Ned's Mountain, this is the back of this house, which was built in 1830. But in back, or I guess it's the side of this house, is this field, I'm assuming, is where the church and the cemetery were / are. There's this house. And this is Ridgebury Farm and Stables.
It's funny, it was during Martin Connecticut.
this is where the French pay carts were.
Explain.
So when Rochambeau came through here to help out with the Revolutionary War, he came with money from France, which was given to George Washington to fund the troops and the campaign that was going on at the time. And I think I've also read that Benjamin was captured by the British, and he was released because he was only 17 at the time. That house isn't there anymore, but this present one is his son's house. And he's the one that found the pieces of the Liberty Pole on their property. So here we go, we have Rockwell. And then we have, this is the Lions Tavern, I forgot, sorry, right here. And then there's, I think this Rockwell is the tavern, maybe? But let's look.
So that's going north, and that would be on the left side.
Correct.
Okay.
It's across from St.
Same
Elizabeth
Elizabeth Seton.
No, this one, it still kind of shows the outline of the old church road. This would be Ned's Mountain here, and Chestnut.
And there's that little road.
Now what gets confusing is that the names are now changing. So, trying to figure out what house they're talking about, or if those houses are still there, gets kind of confusing.
If they're on the road, they're still there.
The G.B. Burr there,
This one? Is that the...
that's Gilbert Burr, whose diary I did the book
Right.
about.
Not related to the Dr. Burr up the road where Washington stayed, supposedly?
There were other Burrs in that family that lived up there, but across the street, where the rectory of the St. Elizabeth Seton Church is, the rectory building, is built on the foundation of an antique house that was burned by teenage arsonists back in the 1970s.
That's in
I was nowhere near that.
cellar. Talks about that.
Well, that's,
We're not.
Bedini didn't go, there was a house there, I can
Okay.
remember, Sally and I have been in that house before it burned.
Did we get nails there afterwards?
We got nails, hand-wrought nails. It was a vacant, empty, abandoned house, but it was an old salt box. It was really a shame. But then these two teenagers who went around burning up buildings all over town
That's delightful.
and got caught on their way to burning the police station down.
Wow.
They,
In the 70s?
yeah, before it was,
Names.
when it was being renovated
Yeah.
to become the
Did you know
police
them, Bob?
station.
Somewhere
But
between
anyway,
you and me.
They destroyed it, but the church, the parish, made use of the foundation for building
I
its
knew
new.
I had read that somewhere, so I'm glad that you are.
So the church is already there. And is that road on the right? That's the driveway to the church? Up to the top of that map? Is that the,
That doesn't
that's-
show it.
No.
I think
doesn't
that's
show
George
it
Washington
on
Highway.
okay,
Yeah.
I just
That's George
can't tell,
Washington Highway.
Logistically challenged.
Is this the Burr house?
That's the Burr House,
Okay.
yeah. That's before they put that ugly fence up, right?
Yes. When the Gravitz were living there, I used to babysit their chickens.
This is,
They had chickens.
I think when the Burrs lived there, it wasn't that big.
No, and they didn't have a swimming pool either. Although when they were digging that swimming pool, they found a huge tombstone, a stone, and it was for a horse. So there was a horse buried there. Now, if you go on the MLS, and I'm not saying that's like a font of information, but they have a different date.
Don't
Which
trust
is,
those.
this is Dark Horse Farm. But I couldn't find a date. Oh, just kidding. I did. So this is before it got built up and what it looks like now. This is the house on Dewey, on the corner of Dewey.
Is that where the Dillies live?
I guess.
There were a couple families listed.
But during,
That property.
that's
Isn't that the
an
Henny,
1800s
Henny or
house.
something?
Was that
No,
not
it's
correct?
before anything.
What's that?
Is that date not correct?
It's around the corner of Golf Course Road.
Yeah, it might be.
Okay. Aqua was a bold choice of color. Okay, now. Further down here. So Mannion, that's my house, and this other little thing next to it is Faith's house. So I can't make out what this says, but I'm guessing that's where the Dealey house is. There's no road there.
It looks
When
like
this
it's
was-
like D or BELHI.
That's Dilly.
Dilly.
Yeah.
Is it?
So that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
golf course road.
DLA. It's like when you go for the eyebrows and you have.
Yeah, that's right now. It looks right.
So is that a family name?
don't see a
Like, why
Y.
is it named that?
I think
That's a
this was
family
the
name.
name
Yeah.
and is supposed to be a Y.
Cause it's,
Is
I
that
mean,
the
golf for
1952
now, so-
On an
map?
earlier
Now
map,
it's-
they showed the Dilly. It was on that very old map. They showed like the Dilly.
Right, so that's a family name.
So it's the same map again, but closer up. Okay, now.
So now we have North Ridgebury and South Ridgebury. Was that the old line that went farther north, or is that currently one
No,
more
I
panel?
do have one that has the New York area. It's on
But
here somewhere.
I'm just curious where this is the South Ridgebury. If you go to the previous map, so the north, and what is the northern border of that? That's where
up
Danbury.
here?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, so this is Shadow Lake, and then Old
Okay.
Ridgebury is up there, I guess.
That's helpful.
Shadow Lake is over in the, by the edge.
Yeah, this is where Beringer is.
That's
Yeah.
Shadow Lake.
Yeah.
That's Shadow Lake Road.
This is
Yeah.
the lake.
And
Okay.
then, I think, it looks like that's
That's
a
Turner
corner.
Road.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Where's
Yeah.
the schoolhouse? I don't know.
But the North Ridgebury School District was
was,
up.
a little
Right.
further.
Yeah. This is a
George
later.
I do have a
map.
map of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Here we go. So, here's my delightful house. And this is the house that, according to the Bendini Sellers, notes that he has, is where George Washington slept. So I'm friends with them, so I've been in their house and I have seen their basement. It is quite old. There's also a root cellar on the property. So William Mannion is the one who built my house as well, and Faith's house. And I believe he also did he did Benson, that whole little development back there as well. I couldn't find in any of the books who lived in the house before Dr. Burr lived there. Even on the maps I have, there's no lot listed in that area. There was a Bates farm that kind of was in that area, and then it was Finch. So, but it doesn't list individual lots, it just sort of has like the tracts of land that were farmhouses. I'm not sure it could have possibly, that land belonged to Dilly, but I don't know. I think, yeah, so this would have been where the site, they used to have a sign on their property, but it kept getting stolen about George Washington having stayed there. This is the house on the corner of George Washington and Ridgebury. No, I've also seen two different dates for that house too. So I don't know. It depends on what map you're looking at or what book you're reading. They have different dates. It used to have a little plaque on the side over, or maybe it's like right here, and you can't see it, so I'm not sure what the little plaque on their house says. Okay. This is the house so if you're coming down Ridgebury, this is the house I just showed you. There's an empty little plot back here. There are some foundations there, and Mopus, the little spring brook, whatever goes through there. Does anyone know what was there? No, nobody. So I found a ton of things back there. Bottles, like old bottles, mason jars. I did find a Bissell jar as well. So I don't know if there was a property there. I can't find that on the maps, but the deed from my house lists that as a Mannion, was owned by Mannion.
Maybe a tavern. It's right at the corner of
Maybe.
Rose.
I don't know. Does anyone know the date of the Benedict house? Where the pastor lives at the moment?
Which house?
The Captain Timothy, this house.
The rectory.
The rectory?
Yeah.
It's probably late 1700s.
Okay.
Is
That's
that the
where-
one that got shot at?
That's where the
After what?
enslaved
during the
people
war
lived
that
in
time.
that.
Not
The
over
ones
the
from
zoning
the
issue.
onset?
No,
No.
I don't know anything
Okay.
about it. Nobody from Amistad lived here.
I have read that goes in one of the. Oh, I'll get to them too. No, this was what was on that property previous to the market cafe thing that's there.
One call.
When was that?
That's a good question. But I've heard it was a garage.
Where is that? Where was it?
This is where, if you're in,
Yeah,
it's
So-
where the market,
the meeting
The
house,
meeting
whatever
house
it's
is
called
now.
now.
the market
Oh, the
place
act-
meeting
okay,
house
yeah.
thing.
Okay.
It's the rectory, right?
Yeah.
The meeting house?
It's right,
Might be
it's
next
what's
to
right
it.
next
Meeting
to
house is next
North
to
of it.
Remember when they built Lund Hall?
Kaleidoscope Kids used to be over there, whatever it
Oh,
was.
Where the turnaround is, it has big stone pillars in the front of it.
Yeah.
right?
Daycare.
Yeah.
Right.
So this was there.
So that's where the one was.
That is the reception.
That's where this is now.
Yeah.
Wonder if they used that.
North. That's on the right.
Wow.
And we already had
That's the store
Ridgebury,
next door.
Around there.
one of the many incarnations. And this is Boughton's store, and I've seen it spelled two different ways. I've seen it spelled Boughton and also Bouton.
Yeah, right next to where the church stood. But the building, I don't think is there anymore. There's a house.
The one that's there now is the 1851 church.
What a number of rebuilds.
And I also read that it stood vacant for many years as well, this building.
I think it was in continuous use.
Yeah, I think it was a very small congregation for a long
Yeah.
time. Had a hard time getting anybody to be a pastor.
Yes,
And
we
they
had
had to
several.
Yeah, they had to use,
They travel, right? They came,
well,
is it Canton?
Shields Hall is named after the Reverend Hugh Shields, who was the pastor at First Congregational, but who also served up there.
It was Reverend Camp also.
But
Traveling.
his church would have been before this one.
Right.
He would have built the 1769 one.
I've also read that they used parts of the church that was in that other little triangle when for this construction, for the 1738 construction.
The other church was a different congregation. It was Episcopal.
They didn't use anything else. Again,
Who knows?
They wouldn't have been tearing it down in 1738,
I hope.
Oh, it was there before.
I don't think the Episcopal church was built in.
So here's a little timeline of the church. that's my painting of it.
Oh, that's
Nice.
nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
The whole point of this is I want to do an illustrated history of Ridgebury. That's what I'm working on. Now, if you can see in the corner over here, it looks like there's like some type of like building, and that's close to where there's some stone foundations where I found some things. Again, it's not listed on any map that I can find.
Well, that road there is an old road,
It was called West.
West Lane.
Yeah. And it went all the way to New York.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's Canterbury.
Right.
and now it's Canterbury, yeah.
I also don't know what this structure is here. It's not there, whatever it is. I'm not sure what it is. Anybody?
You know the date of that picture?
On my computer I have the dates on it, but not on there.
People had lots of outbuildings, place to put their horse, place to store stuff.
Looks like the,
I mean, it's not the general store, any of those buildings, I don't think.
It looks too small to be the store.
One of the books also lists that there were a lot of other taverns, like, in this vicinity that aren't on the maps, where they're not labeled. The door was green. This is the yellow house, which is the next one down. This is the St. John house. You can't see this anymore from the road because there's a fence there now. But there were a lot of St. John's in the area too. That corner of the house that has the two different dates of construction, that was a St. John on the corner of Ridgebury and George Washington. Is listed as St. John. Was this now, some of the books you read, it says that in front of where this current house is was the tavern that Rochambeau and Lafayette stayed at, or drank at. So that building's not there. This is currently there. Cemetery.
So before zoning, I guess.
Most interesting cemeteries in town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Common sense and
A lot of fascinating people there.
Yankee ingenuity.
Vera's house, Vera O'Malley's house.
This is from
Natural tendency to-
Ridgefield,
You wanna drink?
Ridgefield.org. So when they last, or I guess when they first did an inventory in 1960,
No liquor store.
this was the oldest grave they found was Ruby Smith Keeler in 1734. But by 1993 they couldn't find it anymore. Well, it's somewhere there. And then it talks about the owners of the Pink House are also buried in that area. This is Captain Nehemiah Keeler's house, which is Henny Penny. And there it is there. So this would have been further up from here, would have been where the other schoolhouse was.
The 1725 date is probably
No.
very questionable since the town didn't own Ridgebury until after that.
I've read things that say that people were living here as early as like the late 1600s. Again, I don't know. I'm just going by what's the plaque on the house says.
And they had extensive renovations,
Oh,
I'm gonna
yes.
say,
So I don't
20
know.
years ago.
You disagree?
I'm pretty sure that there were no houses there in 1725.
I'll take that up with him. This house is it's now white with green shutters. I don't, it's been repainted, but this is also on the map. This is jump back here. And now we get to the sad part of Ridgebury, the pig house. Which was the oldest house
Yeah.
in Ridgefield, so the oldest salt box in the area.
Well, why
This
did
is
they
what
take
is
it
now.
down? Remind me. It was just
People
disrepaired.
didn't want it.
I've also heard that the Ridgebury congregation had gotten like the money to move it to their property, and then I don't know what happened with that. Well, obviously it didn't get moved.
Didn't they build a house on the,
There's nothing
built a new
there.
house, right?
I don't think
Yeah.
so.
I can't remember the
The
story.
police just hang out there for speed traps.
Yeah, but there's nothing out there.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
For the people that bought it, just tore it down.
Yeah, but I
So
never understood
I
that.
think this is interesting that as early as 1979 there were concerns about construction on Ridgebury and traffic.
That's not proven
This is
now.
still a concern.
It was a concern in 1950.
Back then, the northwest corner of Ridgefield was zoned for business.
Yes.
And they rescinded that after a while, fortunately. But they actually had the zoning in place for it.
Yeah, it does mention that. I think of the same thing I saw this.
But there's another date that's questionable,
Something
17.
you think
I
later?
don't think that. Also, research done by Ed Liljerman, who did a lot of work on Ridgebury history in the 1970s, indicated it was not.
Yeah, I saw that too.
The Keelers moved in the 1700s at some point, but
I'm going by some of the dates I got from when they had the 200th anniversary celebration, and they had this map that they put out, which I also have a lot of questions about, but I'm not sure I find a lot of those things correct on here. But that's the one that I got that date from, was from this map.
Is there anything about the powder maker, Dr. Powder Maker, who owned a lot of property, starting on Ridgebury Road, but went way back into that, what is now
It's a development.
development, where I lived. So,
Pleasant View Estates.
but it's Keeler Drive, and then Powder Maker.
There were two sisters powder maker.
One was a doctor.
Yeah, I've seen that on a map listed with her name or their name on it. This is actually the side of the house that I believe faces Old Ridgebury. I don't think you could see this side. I'm sorry, it doesn't face. This is not what you see from the road when you drive by. And then the Shadow Lake was a cider mill. Are you getting me?
Is this the Colgate house on the right-hand side of Ridgebury Road north of Shadow Lake?
Right before you get to Old Ridgebury.
Yeah, they say 1733. That may be very close to when that's a very old house. And
There's a lot next to it that's empty. I don't know if there were something
I
there.
think there were other houses up there. There was a house on the other side of Old Ridgebury.
That's a Turner farmhouse, but they also tried, it talks about them trying to move that as well, and that didn't happen either. And, oh, look at that. Oh, look. So, if anyone has any information or wants to correct things or has other maps or pictures, I am more than happy to meet with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rory, for bringing us on a tour of Ridgebury. It was really fascinating. And I want to remind everyone that the next History Club is Tuesday, March 17th here at 10 o'clock at the Scott House, and we're going to be discussing the history of the Daughters of the American Revolution. We're going to hear some personal Revolutionary War stories from DAR members and of those who fought in, including some who fought in the Colorado.
Careful.
The Cannon Ridge chapter is also going to talk about some of the great things that they do
This must be Jennifer,
for
right?
the community. So we hope you could all join us for the next History Club in March, and thank you for joining us today.